We miss you. You need to be here while you bull jiving. Okay, okay. Let's put our headphones on. Shelly, it comes so fast. Good evening and welcome to the Poetry Jester Show with Jackie Ray Phillips here on YikesRadio.com. Now you know on Yikes Radio, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And what we do on the Poetry Justice Show is we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying in unison, ladies, yikes! Ah, la, la, la. Now those are the sultry sounds of my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash. Look at Tanya Michelle. So now you know Kevin is the owner of this amazing establishment here at AccelerateRadio.net and YikesRadio.com. And because of that, I, your girl, have been dubbed the Queen of Yikes Radio. So I'm super excited about that. And then before we get this train going on, Tanya Michelle, Shelly C over here being bad, y'all. Shelly C gonna be, Shelly, I'm coming for you tonight. I just wanna show
Okay, come on, baby.
We're
Come
gonna
on.
have some fun. It's the last show of the year, my jigger's back, so we're gonna show out. I'm showing out. I don't know what y'all gonna do.
Oh.
I'm going all the way back to, remember that first trip? Remember our first road trip to New York? Y'all remember our first road? That's how exciting we're gonna be tonight. So I just want you guys to get comfortable with that.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go ahead and give respect to my benefactor.
I was overwhelmed on the trip.
I'm sure. So was Shelly C.
Our benefactor, Miss Laurie Ray Fisher of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company, as well as WMPJ Steelworks and APS Muscle Cars.
And we.
He's gonna go like that. She didn't mean it. APS Muscle Cars of the Stars. So APS is doing some big things, guys. So
They are
doing
really
some
big.
expansion and got a new spot and it's a whole new get down. We getting ready for the new decade, y'all.
That's
Sure.
right.
Gotta
Right.
get in where you fit in, right? So anyway, guys, what have y'all been up to tonight? How y'all doing? Ladies of the chat.
Doing good.
You doing good?
Doing good.
What you been doing all day?
Shopping.
What? You been shopping, baby?
Shopping, baby.
You're going to lead our segment on deals and steals.
Yes. Shelly, you gonna talk to everyone about all those Christmas
All
deals
those
out there, the
Christmas
holiday
deals, the
traditions and
holiday.
stuff like that?
One of the traditions is going out there and getting some wood for the fireplace. So I always do that.
You
Stock
cut it up yourself in the backyard?
Oh yeah, no, in the yard in the den. I have a fireplace in my den.
No. But the wood, dog, do you like get wood, come to the crib, and you go out there and axe it down to the ground?
Oh
I mean,
no,
like, where do you get
no,
things? I'm
no,
sorry,
I
okay.
buy my wood.
You go to Rosecrans to Jones Fireplace?
Yes.
She
And
said-
there's one on Sepulveda too, so yeah. In LA.
LA.
And what about you, Tanya Michelle? What you been doing, lady?
Nothing.
What you?
Wow.
Shut up. You
I'm
didn't been
so
shopping
tired.
tonight?
No, I have not.
You haven't went and done anything yet?
No, I finished. So whatever is not done,
It's not gonna get
done
done.
actually. Yeah. So I didn't do anything. I'm just chilling. Glad to be here. You know, this is our third year.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm so
And I
glad you
was
brought
thinking
it up.
about this, and usually we have like this traditional Christmas recipe stuff, but we tired of sharing recipes.
But we can talk about it. People
I
call
thought we
in
would talk about
if
your
people
favorite
want to
recipe.
talk about it.
Yes.
We have time to talk about it. Let's give them something to talk about.
Our new recipe.
What about you, Lord G? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
You know, today I reenacted the sitcom from the 60s called Hazel. Do you remember that?
No, that was before my
That
time.
doesn't sound fun.
Hazel was a maid, and the show was all about her cleaning. So that was dedicated to me today. I was Hazel the maid and did an enormous amount of cleaning.
You did? That's
I
just
did.
ridiculous.
I did.
Why Hazel, dog? Seriously, on the real.
Because Hazel was a show in the 60s and she was a maid. Google it, really.
She was working hard. That's what Laura
Yeah,
was
she
saying.
works hard.
Okay, well I'm gonna
She
look
does
her up.
maid duties all day.
Girl,
That was me. It started like 6:30 this morning.
Girl.
Yes.
Are you making that up?
No. I'm telling the truth.
This was for holiday.
all day.
Holiday, yeah. It was holiday prep, baking. What was the get down?
No.
Take us
We'll talk about my baking tradition, which died.
I was gonna say we were doing it before the kids. Now we don't do it no more.
They were doing it with the kids. Now you have no kids. They ain't doing it. You got more time and still ain't doing
Doing
it.
it,
That's
So I
yeah.
have a
sad.
transition. My father-in-law transitioned from upstairs to downstairs.
Downstairs. Okay.
And so we were working with that transition and cleaning the room and, getting it restored.
And what that got to do with the cookies?
Oh, the bakery. I think it's been closed for what, 2 or 3
Ask
years?
my
Oh
husband.
my
He knows.
God. We're not getting none of the good ones this year? Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know.
You acted ugly.
It may open.
You started
I
me.
don't know. I did, huh? Yeah.
You started me with
Sissy,
I used to bake
I make
so
cookies.
much.
I make
Jackie
cookies.
made
I make
cookies. She
cookies
sure
today.
did.
Did you make the ones with the jelly in the middle?
No, that's
Oh.
too much work, too much time. This was enough. I could.
Lori made
I
cookies.
was like, fuck it. I'm just waiting for Lori to do it.
I had Pookie's Bakery.
But I did bake
What'd you
this
make?
today. I just did chocolate chip with one.
And I had one, and they
Yeah.
were amazing. They were very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good.
Nice.
You know which ones I like? I like the ones with the toffee in it.
I don't make those.
Oh my god.
I love cookies.
Wow.
I make a
You know,
Sugar
I'm
macadamia.
supposed
orgasm.
to have them.
I make a white chocolate macadamia and cranberry for Thanksgiving.
Oh
It's really
wow,
good.
that's great.
There you go. There you go.
It's always over the top, right? White
With
chocolate,
the white
macadamia, and
crusted
that
butternut
cranberry. Don't forget the cranberry.
with succotash.
But I did bake for Thanksgiving.
Did you?
I did. I tried to reenact my mother's favorite recipe.
Sweet potato pie?
No, my mom was famous for making these, what are they called? Like
Tea cakes.
tea cake cookies.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love those.
Russian
The tea
tea
cakes. Russian tea cakes.
I like
That's what they
those.
were. Russian tea cakes. So I tried my hand at it. I think on a scale of 1 to 5, I came in at about a 3.
Okay.
So I have to practice a little more.
Yes.
Although everyone ate them.
Mhm.
Everyone ate them. Yeah. But I think I could do more.
Even Gabriel?
Did you guys?
Did Gabriel
no,
like them?
Gabriel, of course, he
I
likes
Gabriel.
the icing
Okay.
because it's got just like a little buttercream icing that you put on. But baking temperature of your room impacts a lot when you're baking.
The temperature of the room?
The temperature of your room and the accuracy of measuring, depending on what you're baking.
That's one thing you cannot say. I just go blind and just add whatever. You have to be precise with baking.
You do.
Yes, you
One
do.
little baking soda, flour, egg off, you in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Unless some things you may want to do a little extra pinch here.
Cinnamon or something.
Right, just to kind of give your
Yeah.
own little
A little more
swirly
vanilla.
roll.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just kind of.
My
And I
sister-
think people do that, and that's when you're like, oh, that ancient Chinese secret family recipe, right? That no one can disclose because it's like all she did, girl, was put an extra cup of vanilla. You know what I mean? Sometimes it'll be something just that simple. So
This is true.
I don't know. I was just thinking about it in that way. What about you, Lori?
In terms of baking,
Yep.
well, if I do bake, my first client is Papa Joel Simmons. But I really do. I think I have earmarked Monday for baking.
Oh, you can spend all day?
I'm going to spend the whole day baking.
Wow.
Well, I'll be out and about. I haven't started shopping. It's so sad. Isn't that ridiculous? I haven't started.
Oh,
It's crazy out there.
it
It'll be
is.
me tomorrow morning, people. Out there.
I did most of mine, and I'm sure everyone in the world knows this but me because I'm a slow learner, is that you can like shop at Target or Walmart or Macy's
Mhm.
or Nordstrom's by going
Big
online
ones.
and telling them to have it in this little area for you.
Your Nordstrom's.
Yeah, so I just looked online on my tablet and picked all my stuff,
Nordstrom's walk out
and
to
then
the curb.
I just went out and got it.
You walk out to the curb.
Yeah.
Is
So
it
the
that
only
much?
problem I had with that process
Uh-oh.
is that they lied to me as to when my things were going to be ready. This is Macy's. Are you
They
listening?
they miscalculated.
Okay, I see that as a lie. But, so I went to Macy's to pick up my items to be ahead of the curve, and then 9 of my items were not there. So I have to return on the 23rd for those 9 items. So that will depend on how much baking I can get done.
Yeah, I usually make sweet potato pies, pecan pies, peach cobbler, so I'll be doing all that.
Wow, I'm gonna come by your house.
Cheryl and I make 10 and 20 pound bags of sweet potatoes, filling at a time.
What about you, Shelly? You gonna get down with the get down?
I make cookies, but I kind of got deterred a little bit because last year we had a cookie exchange at work. So I had to bake a dozen of cookies for 13, 14 people. That was really too much.
Yeah.
So every person got a dozen?
Every person got a dozen.
That's crazy.
So,
Wow.
It's a
Yes,
diabetic
and
world.
so I
Sugar.
got a dozen from everybody, and there's 14 on our team. So I was like, I'm done. I don't never want to bake.
You would want another cookie a month?
I don't want to bake
Yeah.
another
What
cookie.
about brownies? I never
Love
made
those.
those.
Like Ghirardelli chocolate brownies. You know what I want so bad, but I can't have.
Dante likes those.
We've got a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air. What up? How you doing? How you doing? What's up?
Hey, Roddy Rod.
What's up, Rod? What's up, Roddy Rod? You doing good?
Yikes, girls.
Boom. I love that shit. Ain't that shit? Boom, 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 boom. You remember that? You guys gotta play do 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 do. Yeah, I like the girls. You guys give us that, Dante. It's like I have no idea.
Isn't that
what
Fat
the
Boy?
hell-
Dante's
The
like-
fat
The
back
Fat Boy.
boy. The fat back
Fat
man.
man.
Yikes. Showing my age. I looked at Shelly. She's like, yeah. For the no,
For the
no,
year.
no, just for the year,
No,
just for the
no.
year. Before the new decade.
Before 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shelly just might give up some secrets tonight. I don't know. If the price is right, Shelly might give it up. Give it up. Got to give it
Famous
up.
sweet potato pie.
Yes. Miss Ross couldn't join us tonight. She texted and said that she had to work. You know, with her work there with the work she does. So she's working. Nope. You just got a gang of the chat. Just the
Just the
chat.
chat.
The chatting. Trying to put my shit on it with the chat.
Okay, thanks,
Rod.
Rod.
What time you go. Please say something. I cannot. You not got nothing to say? Well, we had said that tonight we were going to talk about some of our most talked about shows. Tanya, and I know you put 2 out there. I know, Lauren, you mentioned colorism. Shelly's going to do our celeb section, but I think we'll probably maybe take that a little further down the track because I know that's going to be exciting and can take us into some cool conversations. But Tanya, what were one of the shows that you thought about? I know we've had so many.
You know, I think one of the shows that really made me kind of ponder when I left here, there was 2. One was, you know, the Black Family, where we stand as a whole. And then the other one, I didn't put on the our text, but actually, the Law of Attraction. I talked about that for days, and I actually started reading this book called The Astonishing Power of Emotions.
Okay.
And it talks about emotions and difference, and just, you know, how your thoughts become your beliefs. And you have to really, really watch out what you're thinking, because you can create these stories in your head. You can create whatever you want to do, and automatically that becomes your truth. It becomes your belief. So controlling your thoughts, so they don't become your belief. Because once it's your belief about somebody, someone, something, it's really hard to change. And so I'm only on chapter 1. This was
Damn.
some pre-work that I had to do before. It was some pre-reading that I did. All that wasn't in this book, but it was some pre-reading that I did about thoughts and emotions and stuff like that. But it was almost on the same level as the law of attraction, where the law of attraction is, if you think and believe it, you can almost make it manifest. But this is like how your emotions and your thoughts, and there's so many emotions that cause different vibrations in your life. Like peace is the highest one, and guilt is the lowest one. And so they have like these different numbers of algorithms in you. And if you're at peace and joy and love, you're always at a positive state. But if you're at guilt or sadness or rejection and all that stuff, you're really at a low vibration, and it just changes your whole thoughts. So I can give an update on that when I finish reading the book, but it's really, really interesting.
That does sound exciting.
Mhm.
Now, how do you get from the guilt one to the peace?
So they said guilt is like a vibration of 40 and peace is 60, and they said whenever you're at this level of guilt, that you just, it's no healing for yourself. It's just no moving forward, no positive trajectory, no anything. So it's a mindset. You have to own what you're feeling. Like you own what you're feeling. You sit with it, and then you just release it, because some of the time it's not yours. Sometimes we take on other people's stuff.
Energy, yeah, that's very true.
And other people's energy, and so what happens is you start owning that energy, and it can consume you. And then if you don't know how to release it and say, you know what, it's not mine, or why would I feel this way, or whatever, and work your way through it, you can stay there. So you have to try to just move yourself away from that to move up to joy and peace and happiness and all that type of stuff.
I love that.
And it said that one of the other literatures that I read, it says that you really shouldn't, even when you're getting in conflict with your spouse or your friends or whatever, you have your divine mind and you have your mortal mind. And divine mind is insecure, angry, rage, all that stuff. And you should never really communicate to somebody when you're in that mind.
Say.
Because it's not, the things that you say, you're not balanced. And so you always should step back, try not to communicate, and then move forward when you're more in your divine mind. Things, when you can settle down and think things through and step back and walk away. So, it's for some really good stuff.
What type of communicator are you like? Do you find yourself to be a little more high strung on like if you have like a spat, are you more on the high strung or
I'm
the
more
angry walk away?
No, so I'm more on let's get it resolved, let's talk about it right now, let's get this done and Joel is more shut off, don't want to talk about it. And so when you do that, it's really disrespectful. We've talked about this, so this is nothing. It's really disrespectful because it's abandoning the relationship when you walk away and you don't communicate. You can have a part in that relationship where you can say, we need a timeout, let's come back, but you just can't abandon the relationship. Because what happens is, even what you're supposed to do, which none of us do, all guilty of, is even if you get into an argument and you disagree on one segment of that part, you're supposed to still be able to come together for the rest of your relationship. You're supposed to still be able to cook dinner, move, whatever you're doing, go out, have fun, whatever. But more than likely, when you get mad, I don't want to deal with you, you don't want to deal with me, and you keep causing this division, right? And so, I'm like, let's get it over. Even with friends, if something is uneasy, I want to talk about it. I've learned to respect people's communication pattern. Like if I bring it up, and I didn't used to be like this, but if I bring it up, I would bring it up, and if they didn't want to talk about it, I say, okay, you want to talk about it? I would really like to talk about this in a couple of days while it's still fresh in our head. So at some point, you got to respect that and balance it out. Right? Because if you never talk about it, the story is not always the same. Time changes everything. The way you think about it, the way you feel about it, the way you thought you said it, when your conviction happened, whatever it is, it changes everything. So everybody comes to the table with a skewed, like Monday morning quarterback. You come back with a story that's so hindsight, it has a lot of bias. And so it's better to resolve it like within a couple hours. So I'm like, let's get this shit taken care of right now. I don't have time for this shit to be on my back right now. And Joel's and he's like that.
That must be a Taurus thing. I'm like that.
Tell us about you.
I'll come back to it, but I know how I exist in the world, and I know how I'd like to be perceived, right? So I like to be perceived as someone who's balanced and someone who's thoughtful and kind. But if you entice me to anger, I will not be heard. So that's why I can't continue the conversation right there, because I will definitely say and perhaps do things which are not of my, what did you say? Are not of my divine mind.
Yeah.
They're of my, what's the other mind?
You're mortal.
My mortal mind. So I always need that time to
Get your
kind
mind
of get
right.
myself together to be able to engage.
But this is what that's book about, because one of the things that you said is if you entice me, no one can entice you. It's something that you feel, it's the way that you normally react to stuff, because some people act differently. Some people it wouldn't make upset, some people would do so. Part of the being a power of emotions and controlling emotions is owning your own emotion and saying that this is just how you have learned to respond and stuff. No one made you do it.
I disagree with that, because I think that when people know you really well sometimes, they know what
Triggers
buttons
you.
to push to trigger
agree.
you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I see that as a form of enticing. You know, if
So
you're not arguing fair necessarily, or you'll go to a place that is a very hurtful place
Mhm.
because you know you'll win. If you, or you believe you'll win if you go to that place. Yeah.
So that's kind of, to me, more of a devious type of, that angers me more, because you already know that that's a hot spot for me, and now you're not playing fair.
But see, that's
So-
why I say I like to take that time out,
Yeah,
because
because I already know I'm going,
Right.
yeah.
You going straight to the gutter.
I'm going for the throat.
Throw.
With the knife.
Sock you in your throat.
pretty much.
The Lord, you told Brian you was gonna sock me.
I did tell him that. Yeah.
Now, what
See,
was
that
you,
was at the
he
time.
enticed you? I'm just saying, did he entice you? He made you want to sock him in the throat?
Yes, his behavior did want to do that. That part right there.
That part.
That shaka-laka boom.
And I even told,
thing.
but I did tell him, Jackie, that we had to step away. And
You
I gave
did,
him a
you
period
did. You
of
said you
time
wasn't
that
gonna talk to him
He
for a
could not
while.
talk to me.
Nope.
We
Yeah.
could not talk to each
He
other.
had to stay
for
offset, girl.
that period of time on set.
Mm.
I think when I try to direct, I become
Oh, a beast.
a different
A
type.
whole nother type of.
Yeah,
Your
I can see
alter
that.
ego
I did
come out.
see it a little bit, yeah.
That's like me at the bedside nursing. I'm completely different. If somebody I love or somebody, I know somebody I love, I'm like, get this, what we doing? Get this shit done.
And
Hello?
I have absolutely witnessed that firsthand. When my mother, our
Oh.
mother, was very, very ill, and it was the latter part of her life, and she had a hospice nurse. And Tanya came over to inquire, well, when was the last time you did this? And when did you administer that?
He said, Shirley, she was riding his ass. He was like,
He was
damn.
like, when is she leaving? And Tanya reminded him, now I will be back in 4 hours and you need to have checked A, B, C, D.
Tiny wasn't
So
playing
she
no
does
game.
become a very different person.
I do.
Hey guys, one of our other shows, do you guys remember? Let's just get a little wild a little bit. We're just gonna go on a little trip. Take a little trip to me. When we talked about submission and being submissive to your mate. Look at Shelly. Shelly ready.
Open your fist,
Let me
Shelley.
type it
Open
down.
your fist.
So that our listeners
Y'all
know
know.
that where we're gonna go with this.
The
Right.
submissive.
Submissive. I can't do the hashtag because I'm trying to work. I'm doing too many things. So we're gonna say submission. Submission.
Well, I think you were there, Lori, when I did get married and say my vow.
I was there.
I stumbled on.
Did you
one.
really?
I did. I didn't.
To love, honor, and obey. Submit.
And I was like,
And listen and do whatever he tells you to do, however he tells you to do it.
Lori remembers I stumbled on that one.
Dante,
I think we all kind of said that.
I
I kept
need
saying to
to
love.
no, do you think there are roles, Dante? Do you think that, I mean, just straight real, do you feel that a woman should submit to a man? And I know we're just talking about this, or whoever the aggressive one, fluid, I don't know, there's different other things. But should you just submit? And just, you do what I tell you to do, essentially is where I'm going with this, Dante. What do you feel about that?
Dante,
Because I already know. I'm going to just bring it down. I'm going to let you get your pressure together.
Watch what you say,
Watch
Dante.
what you say. Tread lightly,
Baby
Dante.
alone. That's my baby. I better not be messing with my baby.
It's not the, what did you say? You better do what I told you.
Okay, it's not that.
It's
Okay,
not
it's
that
not
kind of
that.
submission. It's submission to knowing that the man is going to lead you to what God is saying. That's the submission. Not any type of, you're going to do what I tell you, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, tomorrow,
answer.
today. None of that.
None of that.
That's not the submission.
Because the Bible says, submit ye one to another. Do you submit? That's what I want. One.
When
Submit ye one to another. You look all
That means like,
He's
wait,
like, when?
You look confused. Submit ye one to another. That's what the Bible says.
what that means?
what kind of questions are you asking me?
That means submission's not just the woman to the man, it's the man to the woman. That's the Bible. I didn't make that up. I'm just telling you, because you get spiritual sometimes. I just want you to know what it said.
That's not, you mean you didn't author that?
No.
No.
It does say that.
Yeah, so which do you submit?
If it is my turn or not.
He said if it's my turn.
If it's your turn, Dante,
My time and place. Yes, I submit.
it is his turn.
His heart rate probably like 200.
This is turn, Lori G. Submission.
Yes. Woo. Submission. Well, you know what? My submission has been on a continuum.
Okay.
Yeah. Because when I was younger, the answer to that was no. I was not submitting. But I think as I have traveled through the continuum and have aged and have read my Bible, more than just reading the words, but really try to interpret what those words mean, then yes, I do submit. Because submitting means that the individual you're submitting to
Is worthy of
is
it.
following the heart of God. So if you are following God's heart and God's law, then I have no problem submitting, because you're going to be focusing on what my best needs are. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think when I was, we got married in our 20s, I didn't understand that.
Shelley, see.
I guess what Lori said, but I had in another way I would say it. Basically, it depends on who you're submitting to, and again, if everything he does is pleasing to God, why wouldn't it be pleasing to me?
Right.
So, it depends on who you're being submissive to. Now, we talking from dude from 1970. You don't want to submit. You gotta submit because he didn't beat your ass. But I'm just saying, you have to.
That's a whole nother conversation.
That's why I said depends on who it is. Some things you can't talk back.
Catch you off guard and shit.
You
know
can't
what I'm
talk back.
saying?
You can't
For
say
bam.
I would like,
bam.
I would
For
like,
bam.
I would
That
like
may not be a healthy. We should talk about healthy
But wait a
relationships
minute. I
and
would-
unhealthy
What
ones.
she meant, it's not talk back. You can't. It's called speaking up. It's not
Okay.
talking back. Speaking
Okay.
up for yourself.
No, there could be some people who can interpret that as talking back. I just want to put that out
Yes,
there.
yes,
There.
that one.
That one.
I know a couple. Yeah.
Yes, I know a couple too.
Mhm.
That's why I said it depends on who it is. And again, I think Frida touched on it too. Frida was like, it depends on who it is. That person might not be leading you down the right path. I'm trying to say it nicely, but that person might not be a good leader.
Well, that's true. But then that
So-
brings up the other part. So if you know that this person may not be leading you down the right path, and you feel you can't
Submit to that.
submit to that, then why are we there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You get away from.
But sometimes that's harder than
The execution.
It is. It
yeah,
is.
it's harder than just saying.
Well, you have to see it through their lens too, because remember they might feel that you're not doing the things that they want you to do. It's not just they do what we want to do and we act a certain ways. We do what we act a certain ways to please them too. So you have to get to that place.
It's reciprocal.
What place?
It's reciprocated. So if you're saying that someone's not treating you a certain way, and so you don't submit, they can be saying they don't treat you a certain way because you don't treat them a certain way.
Right, because you don't submit, so I'm not going to lead properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a game. It's
It's just a game.
It's just a game. Wow.
You just gotta be agile. You just niggas say, "Give me that women, domesticated, submissive." Again, back to you do what I tell you to do. Not telling everybody. And
See what I'm saying?
that part, Shelly.
Like
I know.
Kel, if you would just act right.
Right. You know what I mean? Speaking of which, this is a good segue, I think, to one of our celebrity updates. Speaking of submission, the Kells. Shelly,
The
you was gonna give
Kells.
us an update on the
Well, you
series.
know he's still locked up, but you know Joycelyn Savage is kind of now speaking up. She's a girl.
Which
She's
one's
now-
Joycelyn?
The real, well, they, not the mouthy one.
The one with the longer
pretty,
hair?
the pretty one. Because that mouthy one, whew.
You said the pretty one?
So there's
The pretty
Joycelyn, I can't think of the, Azriel.
Azriel. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah,
one.
she needs to get smacked in her
What is
teeth.
Joycelyn saying?
She is now coming out and saying a little bit about what was happening. She's changing it now. She's not saying that, she's saying that he did threaten her and her family and he wouldn't let her make phone calls. She's now
See what
admitting to that.
happens when you nigga don't have their foot on your neck?
Right, right.
Wow.
Or don't have no more money.
They have their foot on your
And
neck.
then his wife is is trying to sue for the sequel. There's gonna be a part 2
Of the Kel
Another
story?
trilogy?
Yes, the wife.
There's
is-
more people to talk?
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
So there's a part 2 that's coming out, and his wife is very upset about it. I guess because somehow it exposes his kids a little bit. So she wasn't getting
Gag order.
exposing her kids a little bit. So she's a little upset about that, and she's thinking of suing.
Who is she gonna sue?
What was the name? The network.
The
What was
record
it-
company? The network.
What's the name? What was the name of the show? I'm sorry, it's slipping my mind right now. I usually have my notes. But what was the name of the show? Or
Surviving R. Kelly.
Surviving our
there's a Surviving R. Kelly part 2, and that's the one that she
Well,
wants.
Lori's question was about, is there more people coming forward?
Yes, there's more people, and yes, there's more. He's been doing this for
Yes,
years.
he's been doing it for
Years.
How old are we? Yeah, 30
There's
years.
women that they have not even talked to yet.
Right, so but remember what we talked about, hurt people?
Hurt people.
That's
Hurt
Frida.
people.
Frida, call in. Talk to us.
Hurt
310
people, hurt people.
910
Yeah, Frida gets a little
9676
passionate about him. too.
Extension 1.
Yeah, that's a interesting thing. But it'd be really interesting, seriously, to watch the trial if we, because I think it will be, it's gonna be one of those enough.
I don't know.
We used to know, I don't know.
No,
But it would
think
be
it
interesting.
will.
I think so, I think it was gonna be closed.
And he's
Yeah.
been incarcerated that whole time. He hasn't gotten out.
No,
He can't meet the bail or what happened?
no, he can't make the bail.
How much is his bail? Do we know?
I don't know how much the bail is, but girl, he's still in there.
Ah.
He's still
Yeah.
in there.
I
That's
think
what
what
he
didn't
needs to
one
do.
time one of his fans sent
Bailed him out,
Somebody-
bailed him out,
bailed him out.
It was, I thought it was his cousin. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Yeah, a friend, remember she was owned a couple businesses.
Right, and she put up the bail and got him out the first time. So so the only one that's not speaking up is the one girl that's left, Azriel, is that how you say, Azriel? She's the only one that's still kind of sticking by his side now. So hopefully, they'll speak some more, but it's big that Joycelyn is coming out because, you know, they both together were denying any of these things.
That's
And
one of the parents.
Yes,
She's a
the
girl, the parents came trying to come
get
get
her, yes.
Right.
And now she's speaking up, now that he's been locked up. And so, to me, that adds more truth to it because before they were together and saying that he didn't, and now she's coming out and saying what everybody else is saying.
Well, have there been any charges toward this manager that I saw in the movie? There's a gentleman who knew about all these kids.
As an accomplice.
They go to McDonald's and tell people R. Kelly's
You
in
know what?
town.
They have not charged
They
those
haven't
people.
charged those
His
people.
whole
Because he was recruiting.
Yeah,
Yes.
they were
Yeah.
recruiters. That's a good word. Recruiters.
Yes, and none of those people have been charged because there's no way you could not know what he's doing. There's no way.
Well, they said
If you work for him-
sent those people out. There were people who would go out and canvass the
Even-
areas where young people hang out.
Even his teacher said, you know, what are you doing here? Like, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be here. These are all girls. You know, what are you doing here? Why are you at this school? you've been gone for a while. Why?
Wow.
So even his teacher has said that.
So like, when do we know when he comes up? When is his trial?
I do not know.
No, they haven't announced the
They
trial
haven't announced
date
the
yet.
time.
Yeah.
I think obviously maybe still in the investigative
So they each,
information gathering
they're probably getting the,
phases.
the witnesses and things together. But to me, they had enough witnesses on the show.
Yeah, there were how many women? There were lots of them.
Yeah. And they
Interesting.
grow up, so
All ages.
you got to get new younger kids.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
That's a really, really hard one. Wow.
Especially surviving R. Kelly part 2. That's
Yeah.
very
And then I saw
Interesting.
something where they said on one of the tapes that they got, because there's new tapes, and on one of the tapes, they hear him say, I can't even say it, bring that pretty 14-year-old
over.
to me.
Look
Or-
at Tanya's face.
So he puts the 14-year-old in his love
In
talk.
his directing.
Yes. So he knows he's messing with 14-year-olds.
12?
Yeah.
So, that's just going down that road for me.
That was a tough one because we debated whether or not we could still play
Yeah.
R. Kelly.
Hashtag mute R. Kelly.
I didn't mute him.
You did not.
Initially, I did.
I was gonna say, I thought you did.
Initially I did, and I came back and I changed it because I realized that I like some of his songs.
But I
And some of his songs were a part of my history.
Right. How do you feel about it?
But at
I
first
mean,
I was
right
like,
now, I mean, how do you feel? You still hashtag mute R. Kelly?
when my daughter gives me the side eye, yes.
For me, it wasn't like I played him every day. I mean, I jammed if I
Right.
heard him, so it's not like he's in my library. I'm like, oh, like, let's
Just
Jill
put it on
Scott or
display
let's
skill.
Mary J or that type of thing. I'm not like, let's R. Kelly. That's not me. But if I have some of his songs and they rotate through my library, I'm like, okay. At first I was like, you get all emotional. You be like, fuck that. I'm not listening to this shit, that pedophile, whatever.
Right,
And then I was like, well, how often do you listen to it anyway?
Right.
And it was like, I haven't listened to one of his songs in like 30 days, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they're not playing on the radio.
And then some of them I can't listen to because then I start thinking about the goddamn.
You think it's that
pedophile.
bump and run?
Yeah, like not. I like bump and grind. I like that. But when he be talking about half on the baby, I'm like, the 14-year-old really? Like, and then I'd be like, I gotta change this one.
Yeah.
This came up
But bump and grind, I don't see nothing wrong with bump and grind.
And because they
I
not
don't see nothing wrong. I don't see nothing wrong.
Shirley,
Okay.
Nothing wrong.
Did you know I love
grind.
Did you know I love
I don't
kids,
see
right?
it.
Shelly does.
But that don't mean it
I
wasn't.
know the
But it doesn't mean that was always related to the kids. He could have been bumping and grinding some adults. at that time.
Girl.
He was married.
Yeah.
She was a child when he married.
Was she?
No,
Not
no,
the
she
She was
wife.
19.
Which one?
What? What did
She ain't a
they
child.
Oh.
That's legal.
Shelly, look, cause Shelly.
Okay,
I
18's
love the
legal.
kids.
So Lori said they were talking about this at the
Oh, we
Okay,
were,
let's go.
and so it's a little holiday time, and
Mhm.
people were playing music, and R. Kelly came on. I guess it was in somebody's.
Yeah, it's a
row.
Christmas song.
No, just
Oh.
move past Christmas. They're just like freestyling it,
Mhm.
and so there was a big debate between whether we had to turn that off or if we could leave that
But
on.
technically, you bought it before you knew, though, right?
And that was an argument that was
Right.
presented.
So
What was your argument, Lori?
I was just amazed because these people are, this is the young kid crowd, so
Mhm.
I'm the manager, so just kind of watch, and then B, these people were not of African American descent, so I was
they
like,
don't
wow,
understand.
they
They don't
really
understand.
they really enjoy his music. So, well, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate because I didn't have a vote. I just watched how it played out. So, it ended that they turned him on.
Okay.
He got
Yeah.
booted. They didn't listen.
Well, that happened to me at the nail salon.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
turned it off.
And it was Step in the Name of Love, and I kind of think that was slide. You know what I'm
Just
saying?
let that go.
Like, oh, you know what I mean?
This was bump and grind that was on. So,
There ain't nothing wrong with it.
well, it was wrong with it. It was wrong with it that day because they turned him on.
But they don't really know about that.
I think Honey Love. I mean, I think Honey Love should be allowable because was that really before any of the
Yeah, when he
scandal?
started talking about sex, though, like, I'd just be like, okay.
Because you start thinking, you know, who was he thinking
What-
about, you
what's-
little freak?
Yeah. Or who you talking about?
But
you
we
know?
kind of knew with Aaliyah, right? We knew that was his.
It was
His
rumored.
profile.
We didn't
That's
know,
what we
no,
liked.
did
We didn't know. No, that's right. We didn't
Right.
know. No.
There was rumor.
Uh-oh, we have another caller?
Hello, caller, you're on the air. Here we go with the bullshit.
Here we go with the weirdos.
Yeah, that must have been R. Kelly's manager. Okay.
So
You
question,
can even have my.
I have a question. What is he being convicted for? What are his charges? Do you know all of them?
Who has a
Sex
free
with
phone?
a
Let's
minor.
have a free phone, because I'm over here on social
I think it's
media.
sex with a minor and what do you say?
Because my question to the ladies in the chat is
What?
he gonna be convicted or not? Is he gonna get convicted?
I think he is
Or
now.
not.
I think he is because there's more tapes. The controversy was the first tape, whether it was him or not. But now that there's more tapes, and maybe it comes in clearer, and they have all these witnesses. I think he
I
might
am. My
not get away
internet
with it the
connection is a
second
little
time.
slow.
You know, one of the topics we need to have one day is 18 really an age that's considered an adult?
Because
Say it to me again.
18.
Yeah, so
18.
18 is like you're 18, you can make your own
You
decisions.
can
it's
just go out
21.
there.
Isn't it 21?
No, it's 18 when they be like
21
you
to
take
drink.
21 to drink, but in some other countries it's like 16.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I know.
So
My
who
daughter
determined
was-
this age? We could put that on the board.
Should we talk about that all the time? We never spoke about that. I'm just thinking,
Okay.
I'm thinking about
So
like
New
being
York
18
and
what happened
Chicago.
to me.
What?
It was too much.
What happened?
I mean, I'm just saying, I agree with you. Like 18, now you just gotta go out there and like,
But who determined that age? 'Cause
right,
You
get
know,
out there.
You ain't mature at 18.
No, you're not.
I mean, maybe you were back like in 1801 or something.
That's when they was getting married at 12.
Well,
Yeah,
right.
they're getting married at 12.
Yeah, my great grandma got married at 13.
How old was your grandma?
24.
How, she was 14?
She was 13. And she had someone stand in for her.
But maybe that's the same thing that happened to R. Kelly's family. Maybe his grandpa was 10 years older than his grandmother, and he thought that was okay.
No, not when the law says it's not.
The law didn't say that back then.
Not back then.
It didn't have an age restriction.
They
It's been a
did
color
because she
purple.
had to have somebody stand in
But
for
you
her.
have to, you still have to get permission.
You say
Right.
stand in, what that means, Shirley?
There was a lady that
The
looked
parents
older
wasn't
and
giving
said
themselves
her
permission.
name and everything and signed as her, but she was really married to him. So
At
like in
12,
other
at
words,
12, 14?
13.
Here in California.
Tennessee.
No.
It wasn't California,
It
it was
wasn't
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yeah.
Tony Allen says there is nothing wrong with his music. It's something wrong with him, the man. He says, phone is acting wild and wicked. He says because I grew up with Michael Jackson, and he was far worse than R. Kelly. Come on,
Michael
T.
Jackson.
Hey,
No, he wasn't.
Don't say that.
No,
about
I don't think Michael did those things.
It was just blasphemy.
You don't think he-
No.
Oh, that's another topic. You
That's
really,
another
you
topic.
We
think-
did talk about him before, guys.
We did.
You don't think that with these two boys that came out, do you believe any truth to it?
I think there's probably a little thread. I didn't watch the
The two.
what was it, Leaving Neverland or Finding
Right.
Neverland or something like that.
I watched that.
I didn't watch that.
I did, and it made me really think.
Did you think it was a witch hunt, Shelley?
At first, I was like, they need to leave Michael alone.
I
Michael
need
was
to leave Michael
alone. And then when I saw that, I was like, I don't
But
know.
there's no
Suspect.
counter. Why does this
Yeah, the
come
problem
up
is the
when
dead
he
cannot,
died?
the dead can't defend themselves. Yeah, so I was like, call bullshit on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because why didn't you talk about it when he was alive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think,
Everybody knows.
I think
Like
that.
what did
Ice
Ice Cube say? You can't let Michael Jackson babysit your kid.
Put your wig and let Michael Jackson baby
You
sit
can't do
your
that.
kid. That
You
nigga
can't.
old as
He's
hell.
that's right.
I don't know. I just don't know.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
You don't.
But I know Michael and
think-
family got some dough from the people. They said it was all lies, and Jackson sued, and they won. So I think dope.
I think Michael was always a child at heart.
Mhm.
I think that he was an oddball in his family. I think the only people that looked at him through innocent eyes and not judgmental were the kids. So when I do,
I don't think Shelly C or Dante agree with it.
I tell you,
Oh my
when I was in
God.
nurse at Cedars, I actually took
Sir.
kids to Neverland, the cancer kids to Neverland.
See?
And it's actually a huge amusement park full of kids, and the kids love it, and you can have a lot of fun there. And he was there. They said that, you know, some kids saw him, some didn't. I didn't see him. But I think that he needed boundary with the kids. I do think that he needed some boundaries, but I think that it was really innocent in the stuff that he was trying to do, because I think he had no friends.
It's Michael. Monkey at the top. What'd you think of Dante?
I don't know. I definitely remember or heard of him not having friends. I remember that part of the movie where he was kind of like.
That part of the movie.
Friends of the friendless.
But yeah, I remember
No.
he was kind of ostracized. Everybody thought he was weird for a long time. But still, you can't be kidding with no kids. Like,
You
Remember he had that
Sleeping
glue type
with
friendship
no
with Little
kids.
Webster?
they
And he
were
had a
sleeping
monkey.
together.
We were
Yeah.
sleeping in the
In the
same
bed.
bed with these kids.
Yeah, that's kind of wrong.
Is there proof about that?
Yeah, and Angie Strong says, yeah, you guys speaking ill of the dead. Give Michael a break. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
Angie. Go
Shit.
Angie.
Hey, Angie.
I'm just stating the facts.
I know. I just don't know.
But
Who-
Who said
Who
they
said
were
they
the
were
facts?
facts?
No, I'm saying the facts of that.
Y'all remember? Oh,
That
I got a good
is
classic.
What I watched. I'm just stating what I watched.
So
That's
what
not
you
the facts.
watched, the boys say that they slept in the bed with Michael.
It made me
But that wasn't
wonder.
the facts.
It made me wonder.
It made you wonder.
No, the
if-
facts that there was a show. I'm
Oh.
just stating there was
Oh,
a show.
that there was enough there to create a show.
show, yeah.
That's just
Oh,
because they
that's
were trying to defame black men since
Go ahead.
all this stuff. At the
Yeah,
same
no,
time.
I
Bill
don't know
Cosby,
whether.
R. Kelly, Michael
My
Jackson,
God.
all at the same time. They were just really trying to just bring down what the world thought of black men for a minute.
Because if you look at Bill
talked
Cosby,
about Bill
those
Cosby.
those women were grown.
They were. They were adult women.
And if you come into my house at 3:00 in the morning, ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
I'm not saying what any of those
The
men would
problem
do.
is that they gave you Quaaludes. That was the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
you
is stuff
were
like that.
having sex and didn't know you was having sex. That's the
Oh
problem.
my God.
See,
None of this stuff is right,
I
but-
take issue with that. I think some of them knew they were having sex.
I do too.
And
Okay,
back
wait
there
a
at the
minute.
Playboy Mansion, that's how sex went down.
Exactly.
You know how you just
But
You
you
just
don't. But
take
you don't
some-
have the
some
drugs.
take
though.
an L.
Yeah, but
The crime is the drug.
Right, but I think those women, well, I shouldn't say that. I just think there was a lot of drugs happening at the Playboy Mansion.
Right. So.
And if you go to the Playboy Mansion and you know there are a lot of drugs there and you partake of the drugs,
But they weren't partaking voluntarily. He was
so he
drugging.
was slipping them a Mickey.
Yes.
Remember that?
So to me, if you think you want to have sex with me, why you gotta drug me?
So what about
So
this?
that you
This
won't
is another
Because you're
narrative.
72.
What about, what if I say to you though, like,
That'd be
hey,
great.
you know, you should loosen up a little bit. You're gonna get a good
Just
trip.
wanna razzle dazzle.
Little fun. So why don't you, let me give you whatever the choice of drug was at the Playboy Mansion.
Well, yeah, if I voluntarily take it, but
But
I
you be
don't
like,
want to wake
"Oh,
up
I
butt
don't
ass
know,
naked.
maybe."
After, like, you wake up, you be like, what the fuck happened?
Bleed
That ain't-
out. You
that's not
bleed
cool.
out.
Like, who you be like?
Well, I
So
heard
when
Bill.
you're-
I heard Bill got jumped in prison. Did y'all hear that?
Oh no.
Yes.
Dante,
They took
no,
his
stay
cane.
and shut up.
Blind,
Shut
they
the
said
hell
blind,
up.
the walls and everything.
They took his cane.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's
They had a Bill
terrible.
Cosby jump.
Oh my goodness. Tiny, did you? What? Tiny Michelle, you got something to say. Just
You
say
know
it.
what? It's just so sad to me because I really like the Huxtables. I really like Bill Cosby until he I think when he would get up and say speeches at college, he would be a little bit too like
Kind
Not
of
a little
rough.
bit, a lot of it.
yeah.
A
So I
lot of
didn't
it
like that.
degrading
Low-key,
us as a
low-key.
people.
I
I
didn't
don't
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah, I didn't like that part of him, but overall.
I don't want them to. I don't want him to get jumped in jail while he's blind.
I mean, he's like
That's a lot.
80. I mean, he can't even defend himself. I mean, that's just. You don't need to jump him. He's not a
And
threat.
still in jail.
They didn't like those Jell-O pudding pop commercials.
You guys is cold blooded.
That's terrible.
I'm just saying.
But you know, it's like Hugh Hefner. You don't think he did any of the things that Bill
Of
Cosby
course
did?
he did. He was at the
Okay.
mansion with Bill.
So what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think he drugged them. I think they
Oh,
just
oh,
wanted
oh,
everything.
yes.
please. I'm willing to bet he drugged
Yeah,
him.
yeah. You think
You
Bill
think
just
I think
thought of
you
that by
have to-
himself?
Right.
He was following the pattern of what the
Routine.
get down was.
I think so.
He the
That's
one that got
possible.
caught.
That's possible. That's possible.
You know how they do.
Yeah, that's why he should have been nice to, you know,
Us.
us. I think.
Yeah, he was mean to us.
He was mean to us. Pick yourself up
Get
by
all
your
biggity.
bootstraps.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can do it. Look, black people always got an excuse. Need a quarter.
He was mean.
He really
Oh, no.
was. He did kind of get a little.
I wonder if he thinks about that now.
You think that
He's
he was
probably
mean?
doing a lot of thinking.
Self-reflection.
That's
Yeah,
mean.
a lot.
That could be true.
That could be.
But I'm just saying, he can't fight, so why we need to take his cane
I
and
don't
beat
know.
him up? He's
Maybe
Girl,
Bill was in
they
there
don't
talking
care.
shit. Who knows? Bill might have been in there trying to get
Talking
off
shit.
and shit. It was
You
like, nigga.
Now the report I
What you
saw
think,
did
Dante?
not say why they took his cane. I don't know why they
He
did.
might have been in there showing out.
But I
I'm
think
just
what
saying.
Dante was saying is one of our episodes about the black family and the demise of the black man, right?
Yes.
How we talked about all the way back with Claudine and welfare and all that. You couldn't have a man in the house. You had to hide in order to get assistance. And it seemed like whenever something happens, it could be the white man that's happening, but when it happens to the black man, it's like full throttle. They go at him and they, you know, they just tear him down. Because I don't believe it's too many. The numbers are too big. It's too many white people in the world for this not to have happened to them.
Right,
It's
just
the
by
truth. When
sheer
you look at-
number.
They
Just-
killed, what's his name? Remember they killed that man in prison? 'Cause he was gonna say something?
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
Epstein.
yeah,
Jeffrey
yeah,
Epstein.
They killed
yeah,
him. They said,
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know
you
what
They
he's
killed
gonna
They so
say.
full of shit. Yeah, they got that from.
They did. And Prince Andrew from England.
He did care?
Yeah, he was hanging out with him.
Well,
With
The
with
older
the killer,
prince.
the older one, the Queen of England's son, right?
was chilling
No,
Was
with
chilling.
Princess Diana's son.
Yeah,
Okay.
was it Princess Diana?
bald
William?
and redhead.
No, not those two little ones. It was the old queen, the 90-year-old one, the one who's the queen.
Elizabeth?
Yes, Queen Elizabeth has a child,
That old.
But
and
who?
his name is Andrew, I believe.
Boy, don't start
I'm
making
not,
up shit.
I don't follow the royals that closely.
Do
But-
you need a Google check break?
I can Google and see what his name is. But it wasn't the
Hey.
children. It was
Yeah.
I think it was her son
They did what?
that was down with Jeffrey Epstein and the trafficking of these women and all of this
Oh
stuff.
my
And then the
goodness.
next thing you know, when his name was released, he
Dead.
died in prison.
That's
Well,
too
Bill,
much.
Tony says,
Too much.
TH says that Bill just wanted some sex, you know? Y'all know, y'all, because women get stingy sometimes. So he said, I'm going to drug that bitch and get the booty. Now, that's not.
Who said that? This is wild.
way.
That's how people, that's his
That's
truth.
it. That's it. And you get tired of all of that asking and she acting crazy. So shit.
He
That's
just
what
drug
he
her.
said. That's so
I'm serious.
All I
Okay,
can
but
do is-
all I'm saying is, if we look at statistics, there's
Okay.
way more other races in the world than black. When you look at numbers, it can't be all these black people just doing this stuff and no other races doing it. It's statistically
It's just
inaccurate.
Lori.
I agree with you. Yeah, yeah, but it goes back to Dante's point of the desecration of the black man, right?
It is.
Yeah. Just breaking
Because I am positive, well, not positive, I would really lose money, that Hugh Hefner was drugging some people. I really think he was drugging.
Yeah. A
You
little
really do?
Quaalude
I do.
here and there.
I do a little Quaalude.
All those
'Cause
girls
how
that
did we-
volunteered to be with him, you think?
I think it's a mixture.
If you
I
go
think
on
it's a
mixture.
mixture. Because a part of it is the rush.
The lore.
Is that you don't know.
Right.
Oh,
That's
Because
the
you
part. You
gotta
gotta
call
call
it
good
part of
one.
the rush.
Ah,
Good one.
So it doesn't
Good
matter
one.
if you know
'Cause he
you
wants
didn't
to-
tie me up and bring me here to the mansion. I came voluntarily.
Yeah, you don't want me to be loose and just
Well,
give it to
yeah,
you.
you
You
know,
want to,
right,
yeah,
take
you
it,
want
control.
take it.
Yeah. Remember what you talking about?
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
We're gonna sit around and wait for Shelly C to pass out. There.
Right.
Then they can do what they want to do.
Ain't gonna put nothing in my drink. You know I get paranoid. You know I get paranoid.
Yes,
know.
we know. We know.
I be
No.
watching everybody drink. I be watching.
Mhm.
No, not in a different city.
Not in this city.
Not in this city.
Not in
You're
this
right.
city.
You're right. Mm-mm.
You
I
can't
mean,
do
you
it?
remember the townhouse? And then what it used to be called? It's called something different now.
It's still
The
townhouse.
court, the townhouse.
It
We
used to
still
be
call
the
it the townhouse, though.
townhouse. Me and Shell would go to the townhouse.
Mhm.
Girl, you think the bartender put something in my
God.
drink? He the bartender. My goodness.
Girl, if I feel
Girl.
funny, I'd be like,
Girl, no, I'm not drinking that one.
Mm-mm. Watch your drink.
Girl.
Watch your drink. Don't leave it and come back. Don't leave it and come back.
You guys are so wild tonight.
She could
don't
leave
get
it with me at the
No,
table.
no.
And then there's 200 questions. Are you sure you watched?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did you turn away? Did you?
Did you know people be
Did you
leaning
turn
over the
your head? Did
table
somebody
trying to
come and
talk
talk
to
to
you and then it'd be, no. Put a napkin.
They do.
Yeah.
It could be anything. Tiny Michelle.
Yeah.
It could be a Bill Cosby Mickey.
Could be. Could be. Just walk by and just drop it in.
I just don't think you should just drink again when you go out. I don't know what to do.
But you know that was happening. Real talk, no joke.
It was.
In Mexico,
Mm-hmm. You
at
wake
those
up butt ass
resorts
naked.
in Mexico, the bartenders were in on it.
Yeah.
They were
Giving you extra.
giving you extra drugs.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were.
And you wake up butt ass naked. Yes.
These people, like some of them, woke up dead.
How you wake up dead? Jesus Christ.
Some of them woke up dead.
Explain, Lucy. Explain.
I'm just telling y'all
You
what
mean-
the news said.
You mean when he woke up, she was dead?
You making my side ache, girl. You making my side ache.
I'm
Lori
just saying,
Fisher.
that was on the news. I saw that.
I don't know what news she's watching.
I saw that.
They wake up dead. They wake up dead.
How you wake up
People in Mexico wake up dead. They wake up dead.
You ladies are a wild bunch tonight. I cannot
Wow, there's
even
so much going
begin
on.
to stand it. So Tanya, what kind of...
I found the charges for
Yes,
R. Kelly.
okay. Lori's gonna give
Okay.
us the charge.
R. Kelly.
So, federal prosecutors in New York and Chicago unsealed sweeping charges against R&B singer R. Kelly, accusing him of abusing women and girls for nearly 2 decades, including kidnapping, forced
That's
labor,
what I'm saying. 2 decades.
and
Forced
sending
labor.
forced labor and child pornography, and sending children across state
That's what's
Wow.
gonna really nail that coffee.
lines, i.e. trafficking.
It's gonna get him.
Sex trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So there you have it. That's what's on the docket for Mr. R. Kelly.
So, is he gonna get convicted? Yes or no?
You
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just I just think how many years. You see what I'm saying?
He's gonna
You know, the
get-
federal
He's
charges is
done.
so
done.
it's just applicable to so many years. You did this, that's how many years it is. You did this, that's just how many years it is.
Right.
He's never gonna see the light of day.
With the points just add to jack up.
And somebody,
You know?
is he like protected right now? Because no one has tried to beat him up or anything. There's a lot of men be like,
He might be in there getting his freak on, keeping it together. I'm just saying. Because ain't nobody heard of
Shelly
it.
C was shocked.
Appalled.
Is he in protective custody?
I guess you do what you gotta do.
Hey, I don't know.
Survive.
Dante,
I'm
what?
gonna ask Siri.
What
Let's see what she
Dante?
says.
You don't have nothing to say, Dante? Dante ain't got nothing to
You
say.
have nothing to say?
Yikes, radio.
Well, you know, they beat up Bill. They could definitely go after the
Aw.
Kelly.
there's a lot of people, the guys in jail who don't like child molesters and stuff like that, or men who rape girl
All
women.
of them.
Yeah,
All
so
of them. They do. And if they
yeah.
find out it's a kid,
yeah.
yeah. They gotta
I know.
isolate you. They have to
That is
isolate the
horrible.
So we all feel like he's gonna get convicted.
I totally do. I Dante, you know, you think
I
so?
think he has to.
You give him like maybe 60 some years, I think.
If not
60
more, huh?
years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got to.
Girl.
There's too much publicity behind it.
Publicity.
How do you justify letting him go this time? Bless
Bless
you.
you. Oh, God bless you, Sally. Shelly,
Excuse
who
me.
was that
Ah.
somebody wanted to talk about the celebrity?
Okay, here I have an update right here. I don't
Okay,
know
hot
if
off
this
the
is true. This is called the Hollywood Gossip Column.
Oh, right.
Here
Oh,
we
wow.
go. R. Kelly is fearing for his life in prison, but he is loving solitary confinement.
Who loves solitary confinement?
One
Yeah.
who's fearing for their life.
Uh-huh.
You think you're going out to the public and gonna die.
Yeah, if they
Yeah.
put him out there, he's gonna die.
A judge denied him bail. We know this. All this stuff I'm reading through to see we know. It just says he's in solitary confinement. It doesn't say you know, how long or whatever. But maybe that's why we haven't heard any beat up stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's just in there. It's rough out there. Tanya, what you seeing?
I'm just, you know.
So.
But did you? Now this is the part. Listen to this. I don't know if this is true, but R. Kelly is almost entirely illiterate,
Yes.
with no formal education and training.
That's true. It
Is
came,
that
it was-
true?
Yeah, they
yes.
talked about it in the.
I
in the
know they talked
documentary.
about it in the documentary,
He can't
but I thought they were
read.
maybe exaggerating. You
No, he
really think
cannot.
he cannot?
But you know what? That speaks a lot because Lori, you're in education. You know if people are actually illiterate. They don't. Their mindset is different. The way that they think is different. The way they comprehend is different.
Mhm.
The way they understand stuff is different. So that alone is telling you that. And he may not really think, honestly, based on his childhood and everything else, that he is actually doing something wrong. He can't compute it. You know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His
I
I-
just would like to believe that.
People whose IQ are very low and just are not illiterate, because part of literacy is seeing things differently, understanding, communicating, being able to change. He's been doing this for a long time with people around
But
him.
he wouldn't be hiding it and paying people off and doing crazy
That's
Well,
stuff.
at
true.
some
You know.
point, you got your people around and say, you know what? You may not know this. But if I was you,
Right.
you may want to, put some cash to this because you too big in the game. And somebody gonna try, he probably has somebody trying to tell him something. But I don't think in his mind he thought it was that wrong.
He probably didn't, but I know that he was taking measures to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was
Because he
taking,
got people around him saying, you better protect yourself.
yeah,
Protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right or
Yeah.
wrong, right or wrong. People,
yeah.
for the love of money, they'll help
But
you.
it's- whew.
They'll help you do whatever you need to do to keep their cash flowing.
That's true.
$1 bill, y'all. Dante, what's that clock talking about?
7:01.
7?
Oh, I'm
wow,
supposed to-
you guys.
Yeah.
We've got, hey, Edgar Bang Bonner's in the house, and he says, nah, he know that don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? R. Kelly just is doing what he wanted to do, you guys. I think that's
He had the money and the power, and he did what he wanted to do.
I wonder why he didn't want to become literate.
Well, he went too far.
But the people around him probably didn't want him to become literate either because they
They didn't want him to learn how to
He didn't
read.
need to.
they could just do whatever they want with him
Well, not the girls, but
and
yeah.
get money for him.
They
I mean,
could
he had
ask
to pay
for
his
water.
entourage off to, he had to pay somebody
That's
off
true.
for this not to come out all these years.
Mhm.
Well, it's that time of the show where Dante says, just real quick, Bang says, I know a person that cannot read, but common sense through the roof. Exactly. Some things you just know. You ain't got to know hooked on phonics to know some shit ain't right.
It's different phases.
That was.
You know that's
mama and them,
was
that's
raised-
why somebody, somewhere.
In common sense, street sense.
Right. Like, shit.
R. Kelly, I'm trying to help you, but it's just trying to tell these people
Because I'm like,
that you
Oh,
just
man,
hurt
no.
and fucked up and you just but they say that you know
He was on his Ted Bundy, y'all. I'm just saying.
because, there's people that
So,
have book sense and no common sense, so.
he was raised in a sex crazed environment. So, like you were saying, Tanya, Bang is almost saying like what you're saying. It's just, it was there. You see what I'm saying?
that's
And
what
then
we do.
He didn't know.
People don't realize how your childhood impacts you.
It does really.
I mean that we should talk about that one day. It can fuck you
Yes. Yes.
Well, speaking of which, we're going to be talking about celebrities. Coming back on the break, I know Dante looking at me like I'm crazy. We're going to talk about the celebrity things with these people, different races, adopting little black kids and dressing them up like little females and shit.
That's
Getting these little boys, putting them,
Yes.
making them look like little,
making me
little,
angry.
little
Yes.
chicky wickies. You know, look at the little girl Lauren on Little Prairie. Y'all
Why
need to
is
watch
Lauren
that.
a little
Little House on the Prairie, that little girl Lauren with the curly curls. Have
Yeah.
you seen it? That's how Charlize Theron be having that little boy. He be having like blonde.
Yeah, my
Curls
son and I
and
had
shit,
a
little
conversation about
I
that.
be like,
My son. was
Wow.
like,
so don't y'all think we should mention that tonight, y'all?
Yeah, because I don't understand putting a little boy in a dress.
I don't understand all this shit. That
I don't
shit
understand
crazy.
this free lib stuff. Like just be who you are. Just
Today I'm this, tomorrow I'm that. Dante,
But
we
there's
don't
some,
talk
but
about
there's some that actually, we can talk about it when we come back.
it. Dante, what you think?
Uh-oh.
He said break time.
Break this.
Here we go.
Radio. You ready, Lauren? Dante, get the thing.